Hey everybody, Move Review Next Door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time I saw The Rake. This is a 2018 horror film directed by Tony Wash, and it stars Rachel Melvin, Shanae Grimes Beach, Stephen Brody, uh, J- uh, Joe Mullen, no, Joey Bichichi, Joe Nunez, and Isabella Miko. In this film, Ben and Ashley come together 20 years after the murder of their parents to determine the cause of their parents' death. Ashley is troubled by the idea that the thing that took her parents' lives may not be finished with her family. So, what did I think of The Rake? I hate to say this, but this was a disappointment. Now, I already saw that the reviews weren't that high on this. They they're not wrong. I can see why people would be pissed off by this movie. I wouldn't say I was pissed off. I was more disappointed and I wanted more than this film delivered. And again, I'll always support independent films, even if there are a lot of really bad ones. But there's a lot of really bad high budget Hollywood movies as well. So it's not like I'm cutting them any slack. But this film takes a pretty interesting source material, which is the what are they called? Creepypasta of the Rake, and just kind of doesn't do the story justice. But let me get to the cast. Rachel Melvin plays Nicole. She's the adopted sister of Ashley and Ben. Um, she does a good job. I think she plays her role well. She's a family member that has a few issues of her own. Um, and yeah, I enjoyed her character. Shanae Grimes Beach plays Ashley, one of the two kids that witnessed their parents being brutally murdered. Um, she has her moments of not great acting, but for the most part, I think she did a pretty good job. She plays the trauma and the like panic attack acting very well, I think. Um, I believed her for the most part. She does have some issues in acting with other people. It seems that she's just better at acting by herself. Um, uh, Joey Bacicci plays. I don't know any of these actors other than Isabella Miko, so I have to look them up. Um, Joey Bacicci plays Andrew, who is Nicole's husband. They've just moved into this house together. His acting is kind of so-so. He has moments where he's okay and moments where he's really bad. He's kind of the over-the-top, um, oh, you're a crazy bitch character. So, kind of a stereotype there that's a bit annoying. Stephen Brody plays Ben. He did an all right job. Um, he does have some bad moments. Joe Nunez plays Jeremy. He's the fat comedic relief friend. He's barely in the movie. He's okay. And Isabella Miko plays Cassie, who is the mother of Ashley and Ben. She's probably the best actor in the whole movie, and she's only in the first few scenes to set up the backstory of these characters. Um, but I haven't seen her in a ton of things. I just know the name. She did a good job. But here's the thing. I went into this expecting not a ton because of the reviews, and again, I think it's watchable. There are enough things in this movie that I think it's like, oh, you should watch this for at least this kind of things, where I'm like, this isn't an entirely lost cause. Um, I guess I can do the pros and cons, and I can do it in that way. Pros, the cinematography. The cinematography is pretty decently professional. It does have a couple moments where they're overusing the dolly shots or the tracking shots a bit, where it'll go, let's say like I'm on a bed and a dialogue scene's happening, the dolly will go from one side to the other and then the other side and then again, which is something that I'm not usually a fan of because it means that you didn't properly think out your shot. Um, and if anything, you should have just slowed it down from one side to the other and then cut. But the cinematography never felt like amateurish. It never felt like people who'd never made a film before were making it. Um, yeah, I didn't really have an issue with the film's look because there were a lot of nice shots, some good cinematography, some nice shots of the wilderness, and yeah, the score, um, by Tim Montijo kind of felt like a throwback to 70s horror films. This kind of, not synth, but kind of southern tinge to the music that I think made it kind of stand out. It does have its moments. The opening scenes have some weird like Christmas music that I feel like just doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. There's like a rock song that starts playing during a scene later where the drunk friend is over. Which I was like, really? That's where you start playing? Excuse me. But yeah, it's just some weird music choices, but there were some that really worked. Um, the gore effects. Um, Only a couple kills are really on screen. Even the off-screen kills are still well done. The gore is still well done for the most part. Most of the kills are off screen and then they reveal the body later, which I'm not gonna say like I hate them for that. This movie is clearly not that high of a budget. Um, Even with the good cinematography, it is very clearly not a super high budget film. So I can give them a pass for this, but there's some pretty gnarly deaths in this, and I wasn't expecting that. I was kind of expecting them to all be off screen and then be like shot in darkness so they didn't have to show the shitty gore. But the gore effects are well done here. There were some people on IMDb that said that the gore effects weren't well done. I disagree. I'd like to know who the gore effects person is. Maybe I'll hire them someday. I'm thinking ahead of myself. But um yeah, there's like a really nice and gruesome death where like a character gets impaled by the rake's claw or something and then gets their face like scratched like this, and then you see their face all mangled after it. It's a really gnarly effect. Um, there's an there's another character who gets like the claw up through their head, and then that it like cuts their throat, and then like pulls their head so hard that their throat like splits open, and it's like there's some really nice and messy practical effects here. And I'm always up to seeing practical effects. Like I said um in Next, the review for Next, even though I liked that movie, the CGI was one of the worst parts about it because the CGI got really really bad at times in that. So, I was glad to see practical effects in a lower budget film like this. Um Again, the acting. The acting from specifically people I'd single out: Rachel Melvin, Shanae Grimes Beach, and Isabella Miko. I think all three of them do pretty fine jobs in the acting department. Um, and the main character is likable. I think that she's one of those troubled characters that I wanted to root for. And hmm, was there another thing I'm missing? Excuse me. Um, um, Another positive for this film I will say is that it is a very short film. It is 78 minutes and 72 without the credits. So an hour and 12-minute movie. It does not have opening credits. Um, but An hour and 12 minutes is barely feature length because some people consider 75 minutes feature length, some people consider 80, some people say 90. There are a lot of movies that I love that are under 90 minutes. Awake being one of them is 83 minutes. Um, Perfectly paced, by the way. But this film, I think it's both a blessing and a curse, and I'll mention that later. But cons, I do have to. Oh, one more pro. I will say that the monster makeup is really fucking good. There were a lot of people who were apparently disappointed by the reveal of the monster. I will say that I think the monster is revealed a bit too late, like the full monster. But I don't know. Cons. A lot of the acting is very up and down. The acting specifically from Stephen Brody and Joey Bacicci is very stilted. Um, I think this is mostly that they're dealing with an inexperienced director, or they're just not that experienced actors, or maybe they just don't have a lot to work with. The characters are underdeveloped. They are very underdeveloped. Even though I liked Ashley and Nicole's characters, it was a very surface level like because I only knew that I was supposed to root for them because they're the main characters, and I didn't really have like a reason to hate them or anything. So I don't know. I guess I was just like, uh, whatever. I'll root for them because I have to. But excuse me. But yeah, the pace. Um, yes. While I will give this film credit for not stretching itself out to like 2 hours, it also needed more content. This film, the story of this film could be told in 30 minutes, but it could also be told in an hour and a half. Um, what I mean by that is there's quite a bit of filler in this film. Just scenes of people talking around, and I know you could say that it's like, oh, they set it up because it's the baby shower or whatever, or there's it's like an anniversary, 20th anniversary since their parents were murdered. Um, but they don't ever really do much with those scenes other than have the characters kind of bitching at each other. Um, uh, and it just feels very. I don't even think I was bored watching the movie, but I felt like more should be happening. The stuff with the Rake killing the members of the party doesn't start until like 20 minutes from the end, which I think is a mistake. In a movie that is this short, I really wish it would like get to the point quicker because it really did kind of feel like it was dragging. Um, Again, I think the story could have been told in like 30 or 45 minutes, like a YouTube thing. Um, but yeah, the implementation of the story. I don't know too much about the Rake story. I don't, but this definitely feels like somebody like was like, "Oh, monster changes into people and it passes on." Uh and they just left it at that. It does feel very surface level in that account. I feel like if it was just a short film based on the actual Rake story, it would have been a lot creepier. That's probably already been done. There's a lot of movies based on skinwalkers. So, and the Rake is basically a skinwalker. Um, and finally, the ending. I'm not a big fan of the ending. It feels like one of those endings where it's about to culminate in like a big climactic battle or a um like a big crescendo to all of the events that have happened so far, and if anything, it just goes out with a whimper. It feels like the last 18 minutes of the movie were just cut out, like they're just missing. So I will say I was very disappointed by that. And just overall, this is just a disappointing movie. When I was looking forward to seeing this because I was like, oh, indie horror movie based on the Rake. Um, somebody I like as an actor is in it. And yeah, I won't say my time was wasted. It was only 72 minutes without credits, but excuse me. It 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 didn't leave a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't get angry at it. It's just kind of all right. I enjoyed this more than Bangkok Dangerous because at least this is a lot quicker than Bangkok Dangerous. Um, but yeah, uh, that was my review of The Rake. If you enjoyed the review, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you want me to watch next. And movie reviewer next door out.